downtown where you can get a date for 50, 60, 70, even 80% off the original social marketplace price.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, The Temptation of John Haynes. Give in to temptation and pick up this action-packed African-American paranormal romance. Get The Temptation of John Haynes in paperback and e-readers today.
Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. There's a group of older black women who are extremely upset that the men of their generation are now pursuing relationships with younger women. Now, these black women who are in their 50s, 40s, and their late 30s are now extremely upset that the black men of their generation are out here pursuing relationships with women who are 30 and younger. Now, these black women are upset that these men who are now established and have their lives in order are looking for a wife, but they're looking for a younger wife and not the women who they grew up with. Now, these women want to say that these men are robbing the cradle. However, these women are basically participating in hypocrisy because back in the late 1980s and early 1990s, when they were in high school, many of these girls were out here with much older men and pursuing relationships with those older men with a lot of pride. Now, these black girls back in the late 1980s and early 1990s oftentimes used to brag about having their relationships with guys who were 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and even 30 years old. And as they got involved with these guys, who in many cases were drug dealers and gang members, they would oftentimes brag about how much more mature these guys were. And as they would brag about how much more mature these guys were, they would oftentimes brag about how these guys had lots of money, would be able to buy them all the expensive clothes like Ralph Lauren and Tommy Hilfiger and shearling coats and Air Jordan sneakers, and also be able to pick them up from high school and pick them up in their Jeep Wranglers, their Jeep Cherokees, and in some cases, if they were really balling out, they would go and pick them up in a BMW or a Lexus. And as those girls got involved with these older males who were oftentimes involved with criminal activity, they would see it as a symbol of status being involved with this older man, and they would see it as a symbol of status to the point that they would brag about it at the lunch table in high school. And as they would brag about it at the lunch table in high school, they would boast about how they were out here with that dope dealer, that gang member, or that thug. And they would sit there and be boasting about how they're with this older man and how he could do things for them that guys who were their age could not do for them. And as these girls got involved with these guys, some of them would even start talking about their sex life and all of the different sexual things they would do with these guys after school. They would brag about all of this at the lunch table when they were 15, 16, and 17. And as they would boast about this sexual behavior, they would mock and ridicule the men or the boys who grew up with them in high school. And as they did this, they were thinking that they were the ones coming out on top. And sadly, that didn't turn out for them. And that's why many of these women are bitter today. Because over the course of their lives, as they came into their junior and senior years, I saw many of these girls who were out here with the dope dealers, the thugs, and the gang members wind up becoming pregnant. And as they became pregnant and wound up becoming single mothers, what happened to many of those girls as they entered into womanhood is many of those dope dealers, gang members, and thugs that they went out here and got with eventually wound up getting arrested. And after they got arrested, these guys wound up in prison for life sentences for possessing with intent to sell, federal charges. And as they got these federal charges, what happened to these black males is they were not able to take care of these women, and these women wound up having to go to college as single mothers, because the college I went to was filled with single mothers, and these single mothers had to try to find a way to make a life for themselves on their own. Now, many of these black women who got involved with these dope dealers, these gang members, these thugs, and these pookies, many of these black women, now that they see many of these black men finally starting to become established, they are expressing how angry they are because they know that they have no opportunity with those brothers. And because they now see that they have no opportunity with those brothers that they made fun of back in the day for being into things like video games, being into things like comic books, science fiction, and computers, and looking to do well in school, many of those girls are now women who are bitter, and they're bitter to the point where when they see these men going out and looking to pursue relationships, they want to shame those men for pursuing a relationship with a younger woman. And that's where these women basically show how much of a hypocrite they are, because when that young guy was 15, 16, 17, even 18 years old, many of these black women were making fun of those guys when they were teenagers. Because when they were teenagers, these black girls would oftentimes mock and ridicule these guys as related to them looking to do well in school by saying that they were acting white. And some of them, when they saw a brother who was young working at a job like a McDonald's or a movie theater or doing stock at a supermarket or working someplace, they would say, he ain't got enough money to be with me. But now that they're a single mom and their dope dealer baby daddy is nowhere to be found, now they want to go out here and shame those guys for looking to pursue relationships with a younger woman. Well, you didn't want that brother when he was starting out and on the ground floor of his life. You didn't want to work with him towards building anything in your life. And now these women are upset because they know they've blown their opportunity at having a quality man. And what they want to do is try to shame that man into thinking that he should consider her as someone he should get involved with. Well, most of those men are saying to themselves, why should they look to pursue a relationship with that woman who already is a single mother, already had dealt with a dope dealer baby daddy or a gang member baby daddy? Yeah, she may have a degree and a job, but the whole thing is she is not in a place where she can be a suitable helpmeet to you. And because she's not in a place where she can be a suitable helpmeet to that man has better options, and he can choose to consider those options now that he is completely established. And he can choose those options because he's completely established. And when a man is established, he now has the choice to look for someone who would be a much better candidate for a wife, because that young lady is basically in her prime and is ready to work with him as a partner. And the great irony is that those black girls who were, when they were in their prime, wound up choosing the wrong kinds of guys to get with in the 80s. And this is why they're single right now in 2023, as they are starting to enter into middle age. And as they enter into middle age, they are finding themselves miserable in the company of each other as they are in Bust Downtown. And as they look out in the window of their apartments in Bust Downtown, they are realizing that their social marketplace value has declined as being single mothers and basically women who have been run through by Pookie, Ray Ray, Bobby, Mr. Jenkins, and all of these other old dudes like Romy Rome. And they're realizing that they cannot get involved with these guys who they made fun of. And what they want to do, again, is shame these men for going out here and looking to pursue a relationship with a woman that they believe meets their standards, and want to shame that man for having a standard for himself. But they could have been out here with that guy as related to getting in on his ground floor, but because these women got caught up in their hypergamy, all they were thinking about was getting with that flashy guy who had all the cash, was driving the luxury car, and could dress them up like Barbie dolls. But now that these guys have already played with these women, they want to believe that they have the same social marketplace value as Mint in Box, but they don't have the same social marketplace value anymore. And because their social marketplace value was dropped to a $5 food stamp without the book, they want to make black men who are already got their stuff together feel bad about getting out here and looking to pick a partner. But these women never wanted these guys in the beginning, and now they just feeling bad and feeling guilty and feeling bitter that they blew their shot at a quality guy. And they blew their shot at a quality guy because they didn't have any characteristics of quality. No, they didn't have any characteristics of quality when they were young, and now they're expressing that same lack of character when they get older. And that's what's got them upset at these brothers who they never wanted anything to deal with in the first place. These were the same girls who got all dressed up and were making fun of brothers out here who were out here again, and they were out here reading the comics, reading the science fiction and the fantasy, or they were into hobbies like cars, or they were out here doing stuff. And since they didn't respect those boys when they were younger, they now are continuing to ironically express their disrespect towards them as men for not choosing them. But when those guys tried to approach them when they were younger, these girls didn't want nothing to do with them. And what most of these guys are saying to those older women now that they've got their stuff together is that they can keep on walking with that child that they had by that other man, because they are going to deal with a woman who will actually show them respect and want to have an actual relationship with them, instead of, like Mr. Chris from Chris and Company says, look for help. Because no man wants to be the helpmeet to a woman. No, that's what many of these feminist indoctrinated black women don't understand. They don't understand that a man is not looking to be a helpmeet, looking to serve a woman who is already submitted to another man. No, no man wants to be the butler in a relationship with a woman who is already, as I see it, sufficiently obligated because she made bad choices. No, no man wants to be with a woman who already has made her choice and be considered her second best. No, a man basically wants to deal with a woman who sees him as a leader and will put him first and will look to submit to him. And that's why many of these older men who are together are looking for younger women. And as these men are looking for younger women, again, they're looking for women who are in their mid-20s to their mid-30s, and they're looking to build a life with a sister who has her head and her mind together. That's what these men are looking for, because what they want to do is build a family and build a household now that they've gotten themselves fiscally established. And that's what's got many of these women all upset. they know they've missed out on their chance to be with an established man because they went out here and got caught up in the flash of Pookie and dope dealers and gang members instead of looking at the substance of a man. And a lot of that is due to the fact that they didn't have a father in their life to give them guidance and show them a model of man to be with. And because there was no father there to show them a model of man to be with, what's happened to these women is these women had these ideas that they got from the streets in Madison Avenue in Hollywood, and that's why they're out here really bitter now, because they followed a paradigm of failure that was designed by white feminists and their mothers and grandmothers, and they're sitting there angry in their houses or their apartments, sitting up bitter now, and they're bitter and jealous because they see these brothers now, they've got their stuff together, and they're realizing they blew their opportunity, and they're never going to get a second chance. And they're not going to get a second chance because they basically threw a middle finger up at these boys, and now that they're men and men of character, they can choose somebody better. And that's what really burns them up, is that they now know that in the social marketplace they can no longer compete. They've basically blown their shot, and now that they've blown their shot, they know that there are no options for them outside of Bust Downtown, where they're gonna have to deal with the kind of guys they chose when they were younger: old Pookie, old Ray Ray, old Roscoe, and Romy Rome, who is roaming around looking for whoever he can find that will get with him for the exchange for a 2-piece chicken dinner, or shrimp fried rice and chicken wings, or some White Castle hamburgers. They know that their options are slim to none, and Slim just left town. Now, if you want to learn why many of these black women are currently bitter about blowing their chance, you can pick up my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, on Amazon.com. And if you want to get a digital version of that book, you can also get it on other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. And if you want to learn why so many black women are out here, and many women in general are struggling to be able to get with quality guys and are now angry at the next generation for having those options, you can pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And you can also find that book with 70% of Black Women Are Single on Amazon and other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, and you can even find it at online retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to see me make more videos about relationships, dating, and marriage, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella. Discover the dark side of love in this goth and lovely romance with Spinsterella. Get Spinsterella in paperback and e-readers at your favorite online bookseller today. Now available in paperback. From the author of the critically acclaimed book, The Man Crisis, comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women have become lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Get your copy of The Woman Crisis in paperback at Amazon.com and online booksellers today.
Now available for the first time in paperback, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. Learn all the reasons why so many black women can't find a husband and why 70% of black women are single. Get your copy of Why 70% of Black Women Are Single on Amazon.com today.
Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.